Good Wednesday evening to you. It's Sandra Shields, and I'm your practitioner on duty, and this is our metaphysical lesson. And I welcome you all here and glad that you're with us and you're tuning in to our metaphysical lesson tonight. So during this time when we are all going through the political process and the elections, I've been thinking a lot about right relationship. I've been thinking a lot about unity. I've been thinking a lot about healing and how we are all, despite any appearances, really are unified together in the one, that we are all a part of the divine life, that we are here really to be an expression of love and comfort to one another. And so I've been thinking about that and how we can work together for the good of this country as we're moving forward here. So I thought I would start my reading today by reading Ernest Holmes' My Prayer for My Country. And this is a very unifying prayer that gets to really the wholeness of our entire nation. And this prayer was published in 1939 in the Science of Mind magazine. In fact, it was one of the first Science of Mind magazines this was written. And we actually read it every year when we have our 4th of July service, because it just is such a wonderful reminder in terms of the wholeness of our country. So I'll read that now. My Prayer for My Country by Ernest Holmes. Believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression for all, I offer this, my prayer for my country. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and are the divine heritage of everyone in this country. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed by this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution for every problem. Each is compelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is. I just really love that very sweet and kind prayer that is so wonderful to keep in mind during this time of transition for all of us. So I really thought a lot about this lesson and what I should present, and looked through a lot of things on the internet. And the first thing I looked at was how to heal family estrangement, because it seems to me that we have been estranged from each other during this time, as things, the appearances are that things are polarized, that people have become estranged from one another. And how do we regain that sense of unity and collective family goodwill, including the fact that we have diverse viewpoints and that we really need to honor that and listen to that in one another. So how do we let all of that go? How do we embrace the unity of the one divine mind that really is, living and moving within each and every one of us? So I thought about that, and I really, I thought there were some things that I was finding on the internet that really were very appropriate in terms of family estrangement and healing them. I looked at things on forgiveness And because that's really where we start to recover our unity as a country, is with forgiveness. But finally, I settled on a piece that I found on the internet, and it's from one of the news organizations. I don't know which one it is. I think it's a news organization in the Midwest. It's www.kshb.com, and it's really about here are 4 ways to mend broken relationships over political differences. So I thought that we would talk about those 4 ways. And as I'm talking about these things, I'd like you to think about in your own mind what the path forward will be for you in terms of being a healing presence, not only for yourself, but those around you, and what makes the most sense for you. And were we all here in the same room, you know that my process is always to ask you what you're thinking and what you're doing, and kind of the spiritual thoughts that are coming to your mind about how to move forward. So I just encourage you to have that dialogue, with yourself, with your friends, in terms of moving forward and healing. So this is, again, 4 ways to mend broken relationships over political differences. And the first step is personal reflection. Taking time to reflect, not say the first thing that comes to mind, not run to social media and put on something that may feel good in the moment, but may in the long run continue to contribute to people's sense of difficulty. It's just best to take some time to reflect, heal your own internal conflicts, knowing that the sense of, or the appearance of, disunity has to do also with our own internal conflicts. So we just have to get a minute to look at our internal feelings and feel if we can find a way to have a more civil discourse. And it really starts with us, our own reflections. Reflection, it's saying here, reflection is something we all need to do after anything that happens that is contentious in our lives. It's time to take a step back, to think about it, and begin to normalize the relationship. Normalize the relationship, I think, is really key and critical here. So let me be patient with myself as well as other people to come to some internal healing, because sometimes we need to do internal healing before we can reach out to somebody else and begin to express how we feel about something. So take a moment, really take a moment. The other thing to recognize as part of that internal personal reflection is that timing is everything. So it may not be time to have any important conversations right now except with yourself and with spirit, but later the timing may present itself where everybody feels more that it's the right time emotionally to start talking about things that have happened and how we feel about it. So let's give ourselves a minute to regain our composure, I would say. Second step, value relationships over politics. Isn't that so important? Value the relationship over politics. During this last period of time, this last several years, there are many stories I've heard from people about breaking up the relationships, strained relationships over discussions about politics. And so valuing that relationship over politics is really important. If it's a friendship that's worth saving and a relationship that you value, you may have to intentionally choose to prioritize protecting and preserving that relationship than gloating about politics. So let's take a minute to just take that in. Relationship is more important than politics. Let's feel that. Let's embrace that. Because that's really the wholeness of our relationship to one another. There's a long-held value in relationship that you can be passionate, but then you also have to weigh your passion against our commitment to relationship and those other things that it's sometimes difficult to do. But relationship first is the next step. Another step is to find common ground, and really that sense of common ground is much, we really do have common ground. Other than this, what you see in the media and what may be posted on Facebook or the first thought that comes out of people's mouths sometimes, we really are more united, and we really have some common values in this country that we need to work with, because that's how we get to solution. That's how we get to solution. So passions can exist on both sides, and channeling that passion towards a common ground or common relationship is really, really important. And I've found, and actually Reverend Beverly has been so good about this, is that using in your language and instead of or is really important. So oftentimes when people are polarized or they're stuck in whatever position they have, they think something can either be this or this. This is the only right way to see it, and then the other side says this is the only one right way to see it. It can be either or. And I'm thinking of the issue of the climate, and how some people will say we have climate change, and other people can say, no, this is a natural process. And I always say, why can't it be both? And it's both those things. So if we string that and together, and those both of those two thoughts that seem to be opposing, we can work together on, okay, then what's the solution? If all of those things can be considered together, what is the solution moving forward? So finding that common ground is really, really so very important. So I'm looking through here because it said there was 4 things, and then that's really 3 things. So the 3 things, even though it said it was 4 things, the 4th thing must be God. Using God and that sense of calm and peace that is so much a part of who we are, I think is the 4th step. So whenever you feel that sense of disunity or disharmony, to go within to that spiritual place and find that unity again, and then reflect that unity when you're going forward in your relationship. So again, the lesson in terms of healing relationships and over political differences, you just have to see wholeness first, take a minute to reflect, think about right timing to have difficult relationships or difficult discussions, which may in fact not be difficult at all, especially if you're calm, valuing the relationship over politics, finding ground as much as you can, using your language always to signify unity, and that we are all a part, we're in this together, we're all a part of the divine mind. So that's the lesson I have to share with you today, and so I just encourage you as you're going forward in these days and weeks ahead to continue to remember and value the unity we have with one another in our families, in our communities, and in our country. And thank you so much. So it is.